It's time to once again take a look at the best PlayStation 4 game deals available right now. We've got some great deals on recent releases, even upcoming games, and these span digitally and physically, so let's get right into this. First up, we've got Prey for $10. Prey was one of the most underrated games of 2017. It was developed by a studio known as Arcane Studios, and they are actually a Bethesda-owned studio. You might know them because they did Dishonored as well. And Prey was a game release that actually did have some name value to it. It was a reboot of a sci-fi first-person shooter released all the way back in 2006, but this is a far different game. Yes, it is a single-player first-person shooter, but it is a game that is very atmospheric and has a decent amount of content to it as well, and the story is great on top of that. I could understand why gamers were hesitant on dropping a full $60 on Prey, but considering now that the game is down to $10, it is a great pickup and you can get it for that price over at Woot.
This is a station-wide emergency. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Titanfall II for $7.49. Speaking of underrated games, Titanfall 2 may very well be the most underrated game of this generation thus far. It was that good of a first-person shooter, this one obviously with a big emphasis on its multiplayer component. However, unlike the first Titanfall game, Titanfall 2 did also have a single-player mode, and it was pretty good. The multiplayer, on the other hand, had a ton more depth in comparison to the first title, and there was a lot of longevity to the game, and the studio and Respawn has done a great job in keeping the game feeling fresh and alive. The big reason why this game didn't do all too well commercially was because it was sandwiched between the releases of other major first-person shooters in Battlefield 1, Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and Overwatch had just come out a little bit earlier. Titanfall 2 was the one FPS that went really under the radar, but now that it's available for $7.49, if you're a fan of first-person shooters, you gotta pick it up, and you can get it for that low of a price over at Newegg. Doom for $10. Doom was another one of the great first-person shooters released in 2016, but this game wasn't a major threat in that it did have a multiplayer component, but unlike Titanfall 2, the single player was the real standout. It was a lengthy single-player campaign, around 10 to 14 hours, and when you look at other first-person shooters, that's pretty good, and that single player is filled with high-octane moments and a lot of adrenaline dumps. Of course, with the gameplay, it's what you'd expect from a Doom game. It's visceral, and now that the title is available for just $10 at your local Redbox, you should definitely give it a look. So next up, we've got one of the more interesting deals you're gonna come across over at Newegg. You can pick up Mass Effect Andromeda on PlayStation 4, and it comes with a free copy of Assassin's Creed Syndicate on PC, and it's available for $5 after you use a promo code and take advantage of a $15 mail-in rebate. So Mass Effect Andromeda isn't a great game, but considering you're getting it at just $5, I would say this is definitely worth it. Comparatively to the first 3 Mass Effect games, yes, it leaves a lot to be desired, but there are still some good moments in the game. Just go into it expecting a lukewarm RPG and you will be satisfied. And again, with this, you do get a free copy of Assassin's Creed Syndicate on PC. As random as that is, that's a really good game, and that game was very underrated, so if you have a decent PC, you can take advantage of that, or you can just sell it online, whatever the case may be. But for $5, you really can't go wrong with that. Next up, we have Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age for $20. Final Fantasy XII for a long time was considered by many to be the black sheep of the Final Fantasy franchise, and I never really understood that point of view. Going back into 2006, I had a lot of fun with Final Fantasy XII, and with the re-release of Final Fantasy XII in the form of the Zodiac Age, it seems like a lot of gamers have changed their perspective on Final Fantasy XII. I don't know why that is. Maybe it's because they have found the gameplay in the game to be a little bit more enjoyable, because going into FF12 back in 2006, it was a stark shift in terms of gameplay design in that it played more like a slower-paced MMO rather than your typical turn-based combat. And the fact is, Final Fantasy XII did have a good story, although the main character wasn't all too engaging, but everything surrounding the main character was pretty good, and the overall experience that Final Fantasy XII offered, I would say, is a very good one. The Zodiac Age is obviously a significant improvement, better visuals, better technical performance, all that good stuff. You also have a re-recorded orchestra, as well as the new Zodiac Age job system, so it's just a better game than FF12, and now that it's available for $20, still a little bit expensive for a remaster of a game that was released back in 06. Still, you're getting so much content for your money, so I'd say it's worth it. Next up, we've got a digital pre-order over at Green Man Gaming. You can pick up God of War for $54. So everyone is super stoked for God of War right now. We're all looking forward to the game. It seems like anticipation for God of War has really built up over the last few weeks. And right now, you can get a digital copy for God of War 10% off. Yes, it's not a big discount, but considering pre-orders almost never go on sale on the digital front, any type of discount is one to take advantage of, and God of War is a title that so many of us were already going to pick up for full price, so why not get a little bit of a discount? Yes, $54 is still quite expensive, but this looks to be a game that's going to be well worth that.
Yeah, this guy looks a lot meaner. He's a lot more aggressive than the other enemies that we've seen.
No, interesting fact, too, I mean, the team at Santa Monica Studio put a lot of work into just, like, creating this sort of Norse world of God of War. And, you know, that extends to the troll.
Next up, we have Okami HD for $15.68 over on Amazon. So Okami HD has been a little cheaper before, but this is the cheapest price available right now, and I would still say that this is a bargain for one of the best PlayStation 2 games of all time. Okami is just a great game, and it was so sad to see this game perform underwhelmingly in terms of its commercial reception. However, from a critical reception, this game got amazing reviews, and it was great to see it come back on the PlayStation 4 with Okami HD. It's very similar to the PS2 experience. Of course, the visuals are better. You've got a couple of tweaks in there, but really this is for those of you that want to revisit Okami or you want to play it for the first time, and if you're playing it for the first time, you're in for a treat. Hopefully, if this keeps selling well, Capcom will eventually change their tune and develop an Okami 2, but honestly, that seems to be off the table for now. So at the very least, give Okami HD a look. Again, $15.68 over on Amazon. Grand Theft Auto 5 for $30 on the PlayStation Store. So Grand Theft Auto 5 is a game that was released all the way back in 2013 on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. A year later, it came to the PlayStation 4, and yes, it's still a relatively expensive game here in 2018. The base price is still $60, and even on sale, the lowest you're getting it for is $30, and that's the price it's available for over on the PlayStation Store. The store's got a pretty good Rockstar sale going on right now, so if you want some other Rockstar games, they're available too. Some titles like the LA Noire Remaster and some PS2 on PS4 games. Give it a look, but GTA 5 is definitely the most recognizable game, and even with it being $30, you are getting a load of content for your money. You got an online mode in there, and even the single player mode alone will keep you busy for a very long time, so content-wise, it's definitely there. Just wish we could finally get it for a little bit cheaper, but $30 is the best price we've seen. Next up, Dark Souls 3 The Fire Fades Edition at Best Buy for $20, $16 for GCU subscribers. Dark Souls 3 was considered by many to be one of the best games of this generation. It capped off the Souls franchise for now, and with the Fire Fades Edition, you get the Dark Souls 3 base game, and you get some DLC content on top of that. If you've yet to play Dark Souls 3 somehow, this is the edition to buy. I'm sure that those of you that are Souls fans, you've probably already checked out the game, but if you're still trying to get into the franchise, DS3 is a great entry point. It's probably the pinnacle of the series. That's a debate to be had at another time, but the price is so good. $20 base and $16 GCU is too good to pass up. And finally, Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen, $20 base, $16 for GCU subscribers at Best Buy. Dragon's Dogma was a game that was released very late into last generation. Right before the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One release, we had a great RPG released by Capcom, and the only issue with Dragon's Dogma was really from a technical standpoint. On the PS3, it lagged behind a little bit, but with Dragon's Dogma Dark Arisen on the PlayStation 4, those technical problems are remedied, and with Dark Arisen, you get the base game of Dragon's Dogma and the Dark Arisen expansion that adds a load of new content, and this is great value for your money. It did release at $30, so it's not like it was a super expensive game from the get-go. That was already a great deal, but to get it even cheaper than that, right now it's $20, $16 GCU at Best Buy. That is a steal. So that's going to conclude this video. Which of these games are you going to be checking out? Sound off in the comments section down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.